And what I want to hopefully show you today is that you don't have to be rich, well off and connected to be able to survive these times. You don't need to be wealthy to afford a shelter. What you need is knowledge. And that's what I'm going to do here with this video today. Knowledge is one of the three most essential ingredients you'll need. The other two are time and energy. This video is just an intro to get you thinking. I'm not going to get into details in this one, but I will in the future when I have those other two ingredients. I do have the knowledge, but I don't have enough time and energy to produce a detailed video. Time's not going to get any easier, and the knowledge I have to share is beneficial to you and those you care about. So I urge you to teach others what you learn here, and to have them teach others, and for others to teach others, so that it isn't only the rich and well-off that will survive these changes. Yes, nuclear war is more possible today than ever, but so is it possible that we get a major solar flare. Economic collapse, environmental collapse, climate change is happening, droughts, rain and fire, and all kinds of things are going down. And the wealthy and the well-to-do and the well-connected, they know what to do. They have already built themselves some shelters. They know where they're going when things hit the fan. But the youth, probably not. Probably too busy trying to make a living, paying the bills to think about surviving tomorrow. But the good news is that it doesn't take money to build a shelter. It takes knowledge, energy, and time. You got those three, you and your family and everyone you care about can survive these times. So what I'm going to do is give you the knowledge. The energy and the time, that's up to you. So let's start with this over here. This is an underground timber frame. Timber frames are one of the fastest and easiest, believe it or not, shelters to build underground. By cutting and chiseling out the joints, timber framing underground is easier than above ground because you don't need to peg everything. The ground itself holds things in place. You want to maximize your pressure per square inch. One technique in doing that is to not have it go directly down, but redirect its energy, its pressure, off towards the sides, as illustrated here. This chart gives you an idea of the strength of some selected woods. You can study it now by pausing, or you can just come back to it later. Before you can start building, you need to dig. And how deep you dig depends on when you hit firm ground. Firm ground is usually the rock layer. Now that rock layer might just be a few feet, but it also could be a long way down. In some cases, you may want to compromise. You don't want to dig all the way down to the Earth's mantle. Digging into our Mother Earth is not something that we who are aware that the Earth is a living organism take this lightly. So people that are in tune with this reality, we usually do rituals and offerings, and we ask permission. Permission we ask is of the Earth. We ask her if we can dig into her. Now this may seem crazy to some people who are not of this consciousness, but I'm just saying this here for those of us that are. Then there is the issue of where to build. You can build pretty much anywhere, but if you're in a mountainous country, you don't want to build on top. There's a lot of wind up there. And you won't want to build below, because that's where the flooding is. Right in the middle is the best place to be as far as mountainous or hilly country goes. Flatlands, it's a whole different story. Marshlands, well, that's pretty chancy and really challenging. But you can do it if you want to try. This structure is only 4 feet deep on one side and 5 feet on the other. It's not how deep you go as much as it is how much you're covered by. If you're covered anywhere between 3.5 to 4 feet of material above you, earth or other materials, you're pretty much safe from practically anything. If you layer it right, you'll be waterproof. It's thick enough to be resistant to fallout. It serves as a bomb shelter. Unless there's a direct hit, you won't most likely be harmed. It's quiet, warm, and safe at 4 feet, 3.5 feet. You can get away with it, no problem. This is a blueprint of the structure that I'm using as an example. The structure is currently both a sampler showing different ways of building underground and a healing seed. What a healing seed is, I'll get into in a future video. Here is where you would enter. The entranceway is a little bit above ground, and then you descend. Here we have a passageway constructed with saplings that are woven together. The bark has been stripped off of them in order to discourage insects, disease, and mold. This tiny circular room is a hot room used for purifying, cleaning, cleansing body, mind, and spirit. This is the storage area. There will be shelves made and pegs for hanging other things. There will also be where the wood is dropped, so it's a wood drop. This is a multi-use area. It's the lowest point, so that is where the water drains out. Also, in addition to being a wood drop, it can be used as an escape hatch, as well as anything you don't want to bring in through the front, materials and supplies, you can bring in through this. This is the main chamber. It is where most of the activity takes place. If you're using this as a shelter, it would be your living space. If you're using it as a healing seat, it would be your healing space. You can also use it as a recording studio or anything you need quiet and dark for. These vitals are the 5 elements. So far we covered earth. Next is air. Anytime now. Just like water, air is vital for life. This SID uses a passive ventilation system for air. Entrances provide good ventilation when open. Chimneys do just as well when not in use. Water drains double as air vents when not being used to drain out the water. Water is another element of concern. You want to prevent flooding, and you also want to prevent it becoming too moist in there. It's not just the flooding, but it's also the humidity and the condensation. You want to prevent all that, so waterproofing is a biggie. Creating a good drainage system involves a lot. You need subsurface drainage systems along with surface drainage systems. SIDs on the surface drainage systems swirls are best. That's because they just look like impression in the land and people would not necessarily know a SID is there. Subsurface involves lots of drainage stone. In addition, you need to use lots of waterproof material to keep it dry in there. And that involves lots and lots of bark and clay if you happen to be in an area where there is some clay. Unfortunately, this particular SID area does not have much clay, or any clay at all really. So in order to make up for the lack of clay, we use extra bark, and then we also use trees. That stone, like slate, makes great waterproof. Not as good as clay, but if you put enough on and build a strong enough structure, it will be plenty dry in there. Nothing like fire to make things dry. This brings us to our last element that we'll discuss. Fire. Final elements and spirit elements have to be discussed in a future video. As I said in the beginning, this is just a short intro. Not getting too complicated. Best heat source for underground building is a channeled fireplace. Some people call it a masonry stove, popular in Finland and Russia where they have very little wood and lots of cold. Other than being heat and fuel efficient, they do less polluting because in the long channels they burn off the smoke. By the time it gets to the top, it emits heat. Now this lack of smoke gives it the further advantage of invisibility, which is desirable to people, especially during this time of transition when might be nasty people looking for you. If and when times get really bad, those nasty people, they may want to eat you. This last heat source is a bottom draft fireplace, fairly conventional with a straight chimney. fireplace is a very small space meant for cleaning, cleansing, and purifying of body, mind, and spirit. German fireplaces need to be on for a long duration for it to be really beneficial. Whereas if you're just washing up or you're cleansing and purifying yourself, those are relatively short periods. I hope you found this video beneficial, and I'd like to say goodbye with an offering of a gift beauty, a small reminder of how unique, special, and magical our beautiful living earth is.
Ooh.